Hello, this is Unit 10, Lesson 4. What we've got here is we're talking about areas of regular n-gons. We've talked about how to find the areas of regular triangles, which are equilateral, equiangular triangles, and we've also talked about how to find that with regular quadrilaterals, and we've also done and worked on regular hexagons. Today we're going to go into all the rest of them. Okay? The reason we did the others first is because they came up to nice, easy angles to work with. These may or may not be. It's really not that difficult. It's just a matter of figuring out what the angle is and putting it into your formula. Okay, so here's what we got. Definitions and things. We have three sides of an n-gon. Okay, and an n-gon once again just means any size or any number of sided polygon. So what we have to do first is we have to determine the size of the interior angle that's marked here as angle A. Okay, so what we do is we go back to the formula that we used quite a while back that said that the sum of the angles is equal to 180 times the number of sides minus 2. That gives you the interior sum of the angles. Then we divide by the number of angles, tells us what each angle has to be. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is draw the radius from a vertex to the center of the n-gon and then drop a perpendicular from the center to a side adjacent to the vertex. That establishes a triangle that will aid you in finding half of the side and or the apothem. As we said, this will help you figure out what the values are that you have to do, because once you find out what A is using the first formula here, you divide that value by 2. That tells you what the angle inside your triangle is, and then half of the side length is X. So one of those three sides they will give to you in the problem, and then you use the trig ratios to determine what the other values are. Okay, so let's see what we can do with an example. First thing is they want us to find the area of a 20-sided regular polygon when a side is known to be 32 feet. So we draw our situation. It's usually enough just to draw 3 of these sides, and that's enough to give you an idea of what's going on. As they're noting here, one side is 32. The angle you're going to find is going to be the angle A over 2, and then the piece of this side over here that's part of the thing where the apothem intersects one of the sides is going to be half of the first value, 32, which is 16. Okay, so we can use that information to find out what we got. First thing we need to do is establish what angle A is. So we do that by 180 times the value of 20 minus 2, which is 18. So 18 times 180, and then we're going to divide by the number of angles, which is 20. Okay, so the measure of angle A is equal to 162 degrees. So now we need to find what half of that is. So the measure of angle A divided by 2 is equal to 162 divided by 2, which comes up to 81 degrees. So 81 is the value that we're going to use for our angles. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is find the apothem, just like we've done with the rest of them. Since we know the side here, which is the adjacent side to the angle, then we know that the tangent of 81 is equal to the length of the apothem divided by 16. So we're going to cross multiply, which gives us 16 times the tangent of 81 is equal to the apothem. So we know that 101.02 is approximately the length of our apothem. Okay, now we're ready to find the perimeter. Since we know that each side is 32, then 20 times 32 is our perimeter. So we can fit it into our formula, which tells us that the area is equal to 1/2 of the perimeter times the apothem. So 1/2 of 32 times 20 times 101.02 will give us the area. So our area here is approximately 32,326.40 feet squared. And once again, since I gave us a dimension, it is very important that we keep the dimensions together. Okay, let's move on to example 2. Okay, this time they have a 16-sided regular polygon when the apothem is known to be 2 inches. Okay, so here's what we've got. Got our triangle set up here. The apothem is 2. We need to find x, and we also need to find the angle. So the first thing we need to do is to find the angle. So the measure of angle A is equal to 180 times 16 minus 2 divided by 16. So that gives us 157.5 degrees. So half of that is going to be 78.75 degrees. Okay, so we can use the 78.75 and the length of the apothem to find out what x is, so that will give us half of one side. So the tangent of 78.75 is equal to 2 over x, so we cross multiply, which gives us x times the tangent of 78.75 is equal to 2. So now we divide both sides by the tangent of 78.75, which gives us what x is, and so x is going to be 0.3978 inches. Okay, so the side length is going to be 2 of the x's, so that tells us that 2 times 0.3978 is approximately 0.7956. So each side is 0.7956, so we can get the perimeter by multiplying 16 times 0.7956. Okay, so the area is equal to 1/2 of the perimeter times the apothem. So we fill it in, 1/2 of 16 times 0.7956 times our apothem length, which was 2. So that gives us the area of this particular 16 gon is approximately 12.73 inches squared. Once again, since they gave us dimensions to begin with, we need to make sure we carry the dimensions forward through the answers. Okay, example 3. They want us to find the area of a 17-sided polygon when the radius is known to be 4 meters. Okay, so this is the other option. The first one, notice they gave us the side length of the polygon. The second one, they gave us the length of the apothem. This time they gave us the length of the radius. So those are the 3 basic ways that you're going to end up with this situation. Okay, so what we have here is, first thing, just like we've done in the rest of them, we need to find out what our angle is. So the measure of angle A, before it's divided, is 180 times 17 minus 2 divided by 17. So that gives us the measure of angle A is 158.82 degrees. Divide that by 2 gives us the angle we need, so 158.82 divided by 2 gives us approximately 79.41 degrees. Okay, now we're ready to find the apothem and the length of the half of a side. So the first thing we're going to do is the cosine of 79.41 will give us the side here, the half side, so that's equal to x over 4. So 4 cosine 79.41, when we cross multiply, gives us x. So that gives us that x is equal to 0.7351. Okay, we need to know the length of the side so that we can find out what the perimeter is. So the side length is going to equal 2 x's, which is 2 times 0.7351, which is approximately 1.47. Okay. So now we're ready to find the apothem. So the apothem is going to be found using the sine, because that's the opposite leg and we know the hypotenuse. So sine of 79.41 is equal to the apothem over 4. Cross multiply gives us 4 times the sine of 79.41 is equal to the apothem. So that gives us that 3.93 is the approximate length of the apothem. Okay, now that we have the apothem and we have the side length, we're ready to find our area. So the area is equal to 1/2 of the perimeter times the apothem. So the area is equal to 1/2 of 17 times 1.47 times 4. So this gives us that our area of the 17 gon is approximately 49.98 square meters. Okay. Once again, they gave us dimensions, so it is very important that we state our answer in terms of those dimensions. Okay, this concludes the lesson for lesson 5. So once again, if you've got any kind of questions, you need to write them down on a piece of paper, bring them to me tomorrow, and we'll be glad to discuss them before we begin our work. Thank you very much. Goodbye.